Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have Tony, who is another YouTuber whose channel is Your First 4 Houses, which I will obviously have linked in the description box. But the reason I wanted to get Tony on is because of you guys, because you request all the time to hear from someone who is not 29 years old and never had a job. So I've got Tony today to speak about being a nomad and experimenting early in the nomad journey when your kids have left home and you have a full-time career and income that you've built up, and how that can be, in my opinion, an amazing time to become a nomad. So, first of all, quickly introduce yourself and tell me about your channel and where your income comes from right now.
No problem. Well, I've got to start by saying I actually don't think of myself as being a nomad at the moment, because this is completely new.
Next year it starts.
But actually, to be honest, the reason I'm actually starting this whole journey is because of you, as you know.
Yeah.
You know, Louise has kind of like motivated me to actually get out there and give this a try. And I'm going to be honest, I am actually quite intimidated by the idea of doing this. This isn't just a kind of 2-week holiday for me. This is actually a bit of an adventure that we're actually going to be going through. We're actually, it's my wife and myself are going to be going out and doing this together. But you asked me about the channel. So I have a channel called Your First 4 Houses, which is basically designed to teach people how to get started in terms of property investing. But I've also got a portfolio of properties which kind of provides me with my income. So I guess in some ways I'm sort of slightly different to a lot of the nomads that may be out there, in that I've already got an income that's actually coming in.
Yeah.
And I know that's maybe one of, well, I imagine it's one of the bigger challenges for newer nomads, is actually how they fund this.
Yeah, if you don't have a career behind you, you know, you're trying to invent a skill and find clients, and that's why I think it's such cool advice that you can do it when your kids have gone to university and when you already have all these skills. Like, you're in such a better position than some younger nomads because you probably have savings, you have passive income from your properties, you know, you have very saleable skills. So if you wanted to freelance, you could probably charge a fortune to someone. So I think it's such a cool time to start experimenting with being a nomad.
Yeah, well, I think that's very true. I think though that, actually, funnily enough, one of the biggest challenges, if I'm being really honest, is fear.
Yeah.
This is actually for me. For you, I look at you, I look at what you do, and you're out there doing amazing things, and obviously I follow your channel, and I love the video content that you put out there. But in a way, you kind of make it look really quite easy.
Yeah.
For somebody in my position, obviously a lot older, the idea of actually going out and spending a bit of time away is actually really quite, well, there's a lot of fear there, to be honest with you, because it's not a holiday.
Yeah.
And you've made that very clear from your channel. This is not a holiday type of thing. So it's a real change of mindset, actually changing the way you approach this.
Yeah.
Which has brought amongst its own challenges in terms of sort of selling it across to my wife and so on. The idea that we're actually going to go away and it's not a holiday, but we're actually going away to work is a very different sort of change of approach, really.
So how long are you going to be going for your first trip?
It doesn't sound like very long. It's only 4 weeks. Well,
I think that's long though, because then it's clearly not a holiday. A holiday is like 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
4 weeks is pretty long.
Well, but I'm also following your advice. I'm going over and I've got a co-working space.
Oh, cool.
Which is really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, really cool.
Actually, it is the coolest place to work. But with I'm sort of hiring a desk over there. I looked at all of that, and I'm going to be taking my laptop over there.
Nice.
And I've got a very clearly defined project that I'm going to be working on, which is some course-related material that I'm going to be going there. So it's the idea that we would actually leave, or I would leave and go to work in another country and go to a co-working space. That's just so different to anything that I've ever done before. And
I remember when you originally decided you were going to go, you were saying, you know, I'm going to take some books and do some reading or something, and I was saying you need to have a project because it needs to be not a holiday. Because I think you'll get bored if you're there for 4 weeks and you're just, you know, going to cafes and things. So I think you're dead right to have a project, and then you'll feel like you've achieved a lot when you come back, and that's what makes it sustainable. Like, maybe for a month you could read books, but you couldn't do that for 6 months.
But actually that is the thing. That is the thing that made it exciting for me.
Yeah.
Because whereas I can understand you can go on holiday and you can have sort of 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 weeks away, whatever it might be. It's in Seville, so it's obviously a beautiful city.
Yeah. So
of course we're going to enjoy the spare time that we've got. But the idea to actually go away and actually do a project, actually work on a very specific thing. One of the things that I did after we spoke was I actually went away and I listed a whole load of different potential topics that I could do.
Cool, awesome.
And I pulled out just 2 separate different things things, and that's what I'm going to be working on.
Nice.
So it's really exciting.
So what are you going to be working on? An online course?
Yeah, so basically I already have a couple of online courses out there. One of them is the Online Property Masterclass program, which, as I say, teaches people how to invest in property.
Cool.
But I want to do something that's a much sort of simpler, more broken down version of that.
Right.
And yeah, just going to be sort of taking some material over there and just sort of working my way through that, basically.
Interesting. And so you mentioned a little bit about the hurdles you've had to overcome. You've obviously got more logistical challenges than me because I don't have a house, I don't have a dog, I don't have kids.
Yeah.
So how has that all worked? Has that been difficult?
But the dog has actually been the biggest challenge.
The kids are fine, they can sort themselves out.
Oh yeah, they're fine. Well, but the truth is they are.
Yeah.
Because of course they we know where we are in life now. They've sort of moved on. You know, they don't live with us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, the dog was the biggest issue. Where
Yeah.
do you, you know, I love my dog so much. Where would he stay for a whole month?
Yeah.
And so sorting that out was one of the biggest issues.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, once you've actually got that kind of mindset, once you've decided this is what you're going to do, suddenly all of those little challenges, all of those fears that we were talking about earlier, they tend to sort of dissipate, and suddenly you see it for what it really is. It's a really wonderful opportunity to go and live and, importantly, work in a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah.
What's not to love about that?
So what was the solution with the dog? Are you going to have a house sitter or?
No. We found a wonderful person who's going to be looking after the dog for a month. Obviously, we pay them, of course.
Right.
So we had to factor that into our costs.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna miss him terribly. I don't think he'll miss us.
She'll be sending you photos all the time of like, here he is having his dinner and here he is on Christmas or whatever.
Here I am cuddling him.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
he'll be fine. He will genuinely be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
He'll have a whale of a time. I think we're going to miss him more than us. Although, funnily enough, if we do this again, one of the things we decided is that next time we would find a house and we could maybe take him with us. Why not?
Yeah,
Why
a lot
not?
of people do travel with dogs, especially if you're doing Europe, because you can get trains and buses, and obviously some planes take them, but if you're doing Europe, then you can have a car, you can have a van. So yeah, some people do travel with dogs, which is so cool. I wouldn't want to leave my dog behind for a long time.
But the thing is that when you start to look at, obviously again, following the stuff that you've been sharing with me, when you start to look at the costs associated with renting a house, I went via Airbnb, as you suggested, because we're going for a slightly extended period of time. I got a really good price on that.
Awesome.
A house out of season, it really isn't that much.
No, yeah.
So it is affordable, I think, you know. So next time round, that is probably what we'll be doing.
And the house that you live in, rather than your investment houses, you're not renting that out, you're just going to leave it, because it's only a month?
Yep.
But if it was longer, maybe you would rent it out?
If this works out,
right,
and maybe we could start to do it for longer periods of time. The idea that we could maybe do something where we do sort of, you know, holiday lets or something like that with our existing property.
Cool.
To be honest with you, we'd probably move to a more suitable house.
Oh, big moves.
But it's the excitement associated with, and this is obviously what your channel really provides, that excitement associated with going to live and work in different parts of the country, of the world rather.
Yeah.
I mean,
or the country.
Absolutely, you could. Absolutely. So that is, you know, I've really got this bug now. I want to do this. Not just because I want to see different parts of the world, but also because I can see it could be genuinely really beneficial for my businesses.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting times.
Tell me why you chose Seville. What appeals to you there?
The reason I chose Seville was because you and I and your father went out for dinner.
I sound like I'm fishing now.
It's true. We went out for dinner, didn't we? There was yourself, your father, and me.
Yeah.
And I was obviously looking for a bit of advice.
Yeah.
Because I had this plan.
Uh-huh.
And it was fantastic. Basically, Louise and your dad, Chris, they started effectively a bit of an argument about where was a good place to start as a kind of first place.
Yeah.
And one of the places that came up was Seville. You both agreed it would be a great place. We have been there before. It is the most beautiful city.
Okay.
So that just sort of really resonated with me. I know a few words of Spanish. By no stretch of the imagination can I speak fluently, but I know a few words of Spanish.
Cool.
So I thought, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So we found a fantastic apartment there.
Cool. Well, the dinner actually inspired me to make a whole video, which Seville is one of them, but I did my like top 10 kind of current picks for nomads. So it's on there, but I've never been, so I'd really like to go. I'll be looking forward to hearing all about it.
Well, I'm going to be looking forward to actually giving you some feedback on our experiences when we get back.
Because I don't know what it's like for nomads.
Well, I think I have actually done quite a bit of research on it, and I just think it's going to be amazing. There's loads of co-working spaces, which is really interesting,
nice.
Including a couple right in Dorset. There's some fantastic gyms there as well.
So what helped you overcome the fear and the kind of mindset challenge? I feel like you're right, that's normally the biggest hurdle for people.
I think if I'm being really honest, I still have the fear. If I'm being really honest.
I think people always do.
I'm not going to pretend that. I'm not going to pretend that I'm 100%. I am actually quite apprehensive about this.
It's a big change.
But again, I know it's only 4 weeks. I know it's not a big period of time. But it's not the time bit. It's the idea that I'm going to go to work over there. So I think the fear is still there. However, the more I've researched it, the more I've sort of looked and Googled and looked at various different things. When I discovered that co-working space, I spoke to somebody there.
Then you can visualise where you're going to be sat, and it kind of becomes more concrete.
Absolutely, and she sent me some photographs of sort of, the desk areas and so on. And I thought, actually, I can see myself in that place. Suddenly, that fear of where would I be working, for example, that kind of goes away. Again, I know you would probably go to any cafe and you'd sit down, you'd just start work, but I wasn't quite like that.
We like a co-work. I feel much more productive there, and then you have an automatic community where you can meet interesting people who are doing similar stuff, and you can kind of get inspired by them and get ideas from them as well. So I think that really works.
I have random questions like, I don't, because I've never done this before. So I don't know, do people go to these spaces and they sort of sit down and work in silence, or do you interact more in these kind of places? I don't know. I'm looking forward to learning that, but how does it kind of work?
I find it depends on the culture of each co-work, because some co-works are really, really friendly and chatty, and it depends a lot actually on whether they have like a lunch room or whether it's just a kitchen. Because if there's somewhere people sit and eat, then they normally get talking. But I think when people are working, they're like headphones on and they're like, don't talk to me, I'm coding or whatever. So we find that it depends a lot on who owns the co-work and whether they're like deliberately incubating that culture.
I understand.
Or whether it's more of like a hot desking thing. So you'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see.
I know, anything could happen. But I think what you said about it being 4 weeks, for me, a month or 2 is the perfect amount of time. That's how I started, was just a return flight to Thailand. I was like, it's only 2 months. People will just think I've been backpacking. Like, I don't have to admit some big failure if I come back. And it makes it way less scary. Because it's kind of just like a long holiday. You know, worst case scenario, you had an awesome holiday in Seville and you don't want to do it again, and that's fine. But I think some people think they have to book a whole year and like this massive life change, and you don't. And I think then you wouldn't make the leap. It would be too much.
It would never happen. You're absolutely right.
I mean, convincing your wife to leave for a year would probably be too much.
Well, I think that would. You're right. That would never happen. But if 4 weeks work out well, and one of the things that we're again excited about, and I don't know if this is allowable or not, but we have got like a few people coming over from time to time. So I will still be going to work every day. But my wife's got a few people coming over from time to time. But if this works out, then the idea of going to somewhere else, you know, and actually extending that period of maybe 6, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, that gets really exciting.
And as well, if you have a house, you can do kind of alternate months or just go for the winter and stay home in the summer. I think people feel like they're pushed into a label or a box of a nomad of like, you have to only have hand luggage and you have to be gone for 5 years at a time, and you could just do the occasional month, or it just gives you so many options, so much flexibility.
So it's all good. I'm really excited about it.
Amazing.
If you'll allow me, I'd like to come back and feedback on what the experience has been like.
I think people would be really interested to hear that. So I guess kind of my final question, which I already know what the answer is, but can someone who's had a career and, you know, a mature nomad, does that exist? Is it possible? Can people out there watching this do it?
I can't see any reason why not. If you, let me rephrase that. I think that for some people, they've got to actually put a bit of effort in, and got to really get what they're doing in terms of work sorted out, so that they can actually get themselves into a place where they can do this. But if you really think about it, you can do this. And how exciting is that? The idea that we can all, at our age, kind of go away and enjoy different parts of the world, but at the same time earning an income. I think that is so very, very exciting. It's
going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear all about it. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe, and I will link Tony's channel in the description as well, so you can go check him out if you want to buy your house and then buy your first 4 houses. He's the man to tell you how. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye.